What is going on, guys? Smooth Racing here, back with a brand new video, and today we have some F1 2014 the game news for you. I'm going to be jumping straight in there with some frequently asked questions. And why is F1 2014 not being made on next gen? Well, basically they're focusing on for the next year's release, and they've only had a year since the next gen consoles come out, and not enough time to develop it. Personally, I think this is a good thing because they'll be able to, really put more time and effort into developing next year's game, making that a lot better. I know a lot of people are really annoyed because they bought next-gen consoles in the hope that racing games like F1 2014 will be out on the next gen. But you'll only have to wait until next year, and the live updates, F1 2015 could be one of the best racing games of the decade. Maybe even better than F1 2010, but we'll have to see. I think they're really going to put everything into F1 2015, and if you are thinking maybe about skipping F1 2014, might not be the worst idea. I think, I think the seasoned gamer and, the really dedicated F1 fans will be picking up F1 2014 like myself. But if you've got limited money, let's say you've only got £60, or I think it's like $100 or something, then I'd definitely wait until F1 2015 if you're on a limited supply of money, because that's sounding like to be a really good game, and I definitely can't wait for that. So that's basically why it won't be on next gen. There is no red stripe on the Williams Martini racing car and no Martini logo because of the PEGI rating. Pretty much simple like that. They couldn't get the Bahrain. I don't know, they just said they couldn't get the rights to it. They didn't really give an explanation. And there'll be no classic content in F1 2014, but it may be appearing in a later series. So suggesting, of course, it doesn't sound like it'll be in F1 2015 either, or as I think they might have suggested it'll be in there. But I thought it's some people will think this is a good thing, some will think it's a bad thing. It all comes down to preference. I think it's pretty much split 50-50. Do you want classic content in F1 2014? I think the bottom line and the general consensus was, if it gets in the way of doing other stuff, take it out. But if it's just the same, F1 2014 is the same game as F1 2013 but without classics, then it'll be a worse game. So pretty much we'll just have to see how it works out, and if they've made a mistake putting classic content out. Personally, I think it's a good thing it's not in the game, although I'd really like to see some early F1 2000 cars. But that's their decision, that's Codemasters, and we just got to stick with it and get behind them. There's also a new PC version when the next gen consoles come out as well. Just to avoid any confusion, it won't just be on next gen, it'll also be on next gen and PC, but it won't be on last gen. So it's definitely, like for me, time to get my next gen console at Christmas in time. And it said early in the season, but they said earlier than the usual games, which basically is saying it's not going to be in March or April. I reckon it will be in June. That's just my theory. I reckon they'll just put it in when Grid Autosport was released in late June, rather than doing it in March and April. I can't really see that because that would not give them enough time, and the livery's changed so much. I'm not quite sure how they could do that. I know they've got the updates, but you don't just want to give them a half-finished game. Codemasters don't do that, and I'm hoping that these updates should be free, especially after we've paid £60 or I think $100 for the game. And let's just have a look at a few minor details then with the Fine Career Mode. We've got the shorter seasons of 7 and 12 race options. I'm sure you've already heard about that. Personally, I think it's really only good for the casual gamer, and maybe if you're doing some career mode and you want to race with a lot of different teams. And hopefully that means that they've scrapped the mid-season moves, but I doubt they have. Expanded scenario mode, as you can see the gameplay in the background is some scenario mode. There'll be a range of scenarios based on real world challenges. Hopefully that means they'll do some actual real life things that actually happened in the past few years. Redefined handling, this is all the changes to the turbocharged Formula 1. There should be a lot more torque, and the cars are going to be a lot harder to handle, and it could separate the men from the boys in terms of F1 racing. Driver evaluation system replaces the young driver test. This is basically a one-lap race to determine how good you are and give you some preset, some default settings acquired to your taste, and of course you'll probably be able to change those. And also the difficulty level is going to be harder because there's a very easy mode, which I presume is going to replace the current, I think it's called amateur. I don't know actually what it's called, the bottom difficulty, but that's basically going to replace that, and everyone's going to get pushed up one. So the highest, which I believe is Legend, I'd like to say, will be now moved up, and then the I think it's Professional will become the new Legend. But really looking forward to the difficulty settings. Hopefully they'll be harder, and just the more difficulty settings, the better. This basically means you can find the perfect difficulty for you. Also, ERS will be debuting. This will not be a button just to confirm like the Kurz, and I believe the Kurz will be not be in the game because I don't think it's in real life anymore. And there'll be no commentary. Steve Hood confirmed that to me this morning. And also there'll be no formation laps, which is really disappointing, and no personalisation in terms of numbers, which probably means you won't be able to create your own custom helmets and we'll have to stick with the, say, 40 preset ones. So this basically means that F1 2014 at the moment doesn't really sound much different from F1 2013, being brutally honest. But hopefully we'll get some announcements that will change my mind and, really set it aside from the previous Codemasters titles. But I know that's pretty much it then. Leave your thoughts on everything I've discussed down in the comment section below. I've been Smooth Racing, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.